Hello, darkness, my old friend. Hello, everyone. How's it going? Good afternoon. How's your Wednesday? It's definitely Wednesday. How's your Wednesday afternoon going? It is 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are diving into our... It's 1:04 p.m. It's 1:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're diving into our weekly live, our Q&A. There are no Devin, Meg, and Jenna over here today, which is fine. A little chaos is good, but a little too much chaos is also good, let's be honest. Hello, everyone. Yes, George, I have live chat on. Of course I do. And I don't know how it does or doesn't work. But on my phone, the past few times, like using my phone, specifically my phone, nothing else over here, the past few times that I've popped on has gone straight to live. So I don't know what does or doesn't say, but I am indeed on live chat. And yeah, I mean, honestly, the top chat works just fine. You just never know what you're actually missing out. Unfortunately, we don't have enough spam over here for me to deal with the FOMO of not knowing what I'm missing. Successful, first, just because. Welcome, Successful. You are indeed first. That is the exact place you want to be. George, Pariah, Ken, Stacy, everyone, good morning. Brian, all of you. How's everyone going? Gen Cam, how's it going? Just watched some BoardGameCo and Professor Meg playing some DCs. That's a good choice. There's going to be more of that coming. I have 2 more gameplays, this time with AP. AP's been on the channel here and there. Not quite as frequently. He's more of a special guest to the channel than an actual part of the channel, but AP is going to be in 2 Zombicide playthroughs, Zombicide DCs playthroughs, and yes, for those wondering, I do say deceased instead of deceased, but like, so I got a comment on my video, said like, hey Alex, I don't think you realize it's a play on words, because you keep saying deceased. I do realize it's a play on words, but I still might be saying it incorrectly. To me, if you say it deceased, I think it's better to like focus on the deceased, but I recognize it's the play on word deceased, but it doesn't say deceased, it says deceased. So I'm saying it that way. I don't know the right way to say it, and I'm fine being wrong, but I recognize that it's a play on words. That part is definitely true. Alex, do you already have an opinion on CB's currently on GameFound? I haven't looked heavily at the page, not yet. I do know that, how to say this without stepping on people's toes. I cover a lot of crowdfunding campaigns. For the past 4 years now, I have looked at nearly every single tabletop crowdfunding campaign of reasonable merit. I say reasonable merit because honestly, there's a lot of things that never get past, 100 people looking at it, and I don't know if I look at those as much. But I would say that from the campaigns that have more than 100 people backing them, whether or not you see them on the channel, I've seen nearly every single tabletop crowdfunding campaign over the past 4 years that has at least 100 people backing it. I just have. And that does mean that by now I have a certain sense of what does and doesn't do well. I am not 100% right. I am not a prophet. I'm not perfect. All of those things are true. But I do have a good sense of how campaigns will do. Sea Beasts, to me, look like the kind of campaign that would struggle as it is right now. It looks like the kind of campaign that will do anywhere between 10 to 40,000, not the ones that cross into that 50 or 50k or 100k or whatnot. I think art and presentation are a big part of board games, and I think the art and presentation of Sea Beast is fine, but it's expensive, and I don't think it's amazing looking, unfortunately. This is a regular problem on crowdfunding in general, and I always feel bad saying it. If you're a smaller creator, especially if you're not dabbling in AI, which kudos to you, I think the problem is you're very often going to have to deal with games that look good but not great, or sometimes even less than good. And I think graphic design is often more of an issue than art. Usually things like fonts or the way things are laid out are going to be much bigger issues than the art themselves. Good graphic design can cover up bad art, but bad graphic design can take over from bad art. So I'd say graphic design first, then art. And again, I think a lot of games just look good and not great, and I think looking great is a big deal on crowdfunding. I've put out full videos on the subject. One video I have in particular, I can't remember the name of it, but something like why I won't back a game with bad art. I think something like that. But the idea of that video was effectively, if the only thing that I know as someone who hasn't played your game is that it doesn't appeal to me visually, then the one thing that you can actually control, because you can't control that I play it, I know you didn't do your job well enough on. So Sea Beast, I think, looks fine. I hope it does. I hope it funds. I know from some people who've played it that they've enjoyed it, and I think it's struggling, and it makes sense to me that it's struggling, unfortunately. Let's see. Nidomera, good morning, good evening. Ryan, let's get into the queues. When's GameFound getting a mobile app? Make it happen. Ryan, so before I joined GameFound, I had a bunch of things that were on my list of why doesn't GameFound do this, that, or the other. And some of those things I still have questions on, but a lot of it comes down to resources and priorities. So a few of the things for me, for example, is I always wanted to, I hate the fact that on GameFound, you have to click through to the site to see the actual update. I just hit delete on so many updates. I have too many campaigns that I back. Well, actually, less so nowadays. But there's too many campaigns and too many emails. Even now, even without backing that many new campaigns, there's still a flood of all the campaigns I've backed in the past. And it's a constant flood of emails. If you don't show it to me in my browser, in my Gmail, I'm probably not looking at it. And so I always was annoyed by that. I now understand the reason, and the reason, by the way, is because GameFound's updates have more functionality attached to them. Even things like, let's say, just, polls. They have polls natively built into it. And so when you have something like a poll, you can't transfer that over to the email. Now, I still wish they had a kind of like a way around it. It was like, here's the email and click through to do more stuff. I wish that, personally, but it's not the priority. When it comes to the app, part of the problem, and this is part of the problem, well, there's two parts I'll get into, and it's not the whole entire decision. The first part is that apps are utilized less than you think they are. The Kickstarter app is used far, far less than people think it is. It is used by some people very passionately. Most people don't care. Most people, someone like myself, I'd rather go to Kickstarter on mobile, meaning I'd rather go to the actual website on my device than the app, personally. So the apps aren't used as much as you think to begin with. And the second problem, this is a big part of it, is GameFound puts out updates every 2 weeks. Every single 2 weeks, like clockwork, there's an update. Sometimes their quality of life changes you never really realize. There's like a tweak to the way this worked or that worked. Other times they're big updates. But GameFound is always iterating. We have an active development team. We are constantly putting new features and things into place. Were we to develop a mobile app as opposed to simply being mobile friendly, we would have to manage 2 development life cycles at the same time, and we have to focus on having an app that takes up some of our development resources and time as we constantly are trying to update things and therefore have to constantly tweak both. So it's just not a priority right now because of the lower usage and because we are still constantly moving forward very quickly as a platform. And at some point, will there be an app? Possibly, but it's not where we think it's the best use of our time and resources at the moment. Oh yeah, let's go into apps. Oh yeah, AP, that's right. What's going on? Out of left field question. Is distilled in the leveled up library? I don't think so, but I can probably make that happen. I have to remember after this call to do that. I will reach out to Dave and see if we can get a copy of Distilled for the level up library, because that's a reasonable game. Not only is it a reasonable game to have in the library, it's a reasonable game to put in the hot games room. So we'll see how that goes. Deceased is a command game, so getting the name wrong is obligatory. Screw you, Ryan. But also, I appreciate it. Zignitus Musculatus, or I assume you're Polish, just based on the name. I assume, but I could be wrong. Hey, Alex, what movie, book, franchise you'd love to see adapted into a board game? Ooh. My favorite book of all time is The Pillars of the Earth, which has already been made into a good, not great board game. It's a good game. It's a reasonably good game. It's just not the best of the best. Which hurts me, by the way, because I want to own it because it's like The Pillars of the Earth, but like, I like it. I just don't love it in the realm of other games. What movie or book franchise would I like to see made into? I mean, the video game franchise I always say is Bioshock. I'd love to see a good Bioshock game, not the meh one we've had till now. So I don't think of media being adapted to board games for the most part. Video games, I think, are a more natural extension because you're moving from playing to playing, which is a natural transition, similar to the way you go from a from a book to a movie. In both, you're consuming a story, you're not a part of the story. I think a lot of the times the adaptations make sense when the form of media is similar. So either as an active participant or as a bystander. So again, books to movies or video games to board games. I don't think that there's anything I'm passionate about from the board game sense from a book or a movie that I'm passionate to see turned into a board game. Would I be potentially interested? Sure. I mean, Marvel obviously has done it a lot, but that's like an entire franchise. So nothing that sticks out to me strongly. Biodelic, wise words, thank you. John Shavola, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, John. Connor, hello, Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo. Hello, Connor. Biodelic, Alex, in regards to GameFound, there really should be a function to see all active stretch play plans in one place. Pass it on, please. That's a great idea. That is a great idea. I will see what I can do. Yeah. But this, by the way, this is the kind of thing. At GameFound, we are actively engaged in 3 lines of development at all times. 1 is the ideas we think are good. 2 are the ideas that the various publishers we work with, people hosting the campaigns, think are good ideas. And then 3 are ideas from the audience. Not every idea translates into an actual fully functional thing immediately, but they do go into the queue and they become things. They absolutely become things as we go on. Brian, on the topic of game art, I think it comes down to mechanics versus presentation. Castle Burgundy is an example. That old game looks terrible but loved. How many people get drawn in by the specialist and prettiness? So Brian, I think a big difference in the Castle Burgundy is in the old days, in the before times, before crowdfunding, you effectively had a publisher was the person who in some way had looked at your game as your designer, you're coming in, whoever you are, game comes into a publisher takes a look at it and says, hey, this looks like a good game, we'll publish it. And so to some extent, at that point, by the time it goes to the audience, there's a degree of vettedness that's happening by the publisher in between. There's also other factors, whether you trust that particular publisher, whether you already like Stefan Feld as a designer. There's all these other factors, but there is a degree of being vetted that is present in traditional board game publishing. As soon as you introduce crowdfunding into the mix, you've removed that vettedness. So now you don't have when you have a new company coming in with a board game, and they're a company you haven't done anything, you haven't played any games from that designer, you haven't gotten anything from that company, and then they launch on crowdfunding with a game that looks only okay. Any form of vetted is gone. There's no vetted. Like GameFound or Kickstarter is not vetting that game as for the quality of the game itself. There's no designer to be vetting it. You could have industry people involved. So, for example, I think the most influential thing I've seen said about Sea Beasts was Brendan McCaskill from Open House Studios said he played it and he loved it. He's an industry personality who has played and loved the game, so that does help. So there's always degrees of what goes into convincing you that a game is good. And the sad reality is that great-looking games do not have to be good in any way, shape, or form. Great-looking games can suck. They can. But all I know is that at least if you make the game great-looking, you've at least shown me that one facet of what you're trying to sell me on is good. And if you don't do that, you're saying, hey, I know we didn't do the one thing you can see, but trust us that we did the other things you can't see. So the whole aspect of being vetted is the conversation, which I think takes games like Terraforming Mars and Castle of Burgundy and says, hey, by the way, here you go. Also, another factor I'd say as well, Castle of Burgundy, Terraforming Mars, the graphic design in those games is fine. The art, the graphic design is fine. I think graphic design is a bigger turnoff than people realize. It's less about good art, although it's a factor, and it's more about good graphic design. Remy Bub. What is a good game to try worker placement mechanics that a family can enjoy, possibly co-op, but not a requirement? Ooh, co-op worker placement. I'm sure that exists. I'm just not immediately coming to mind. That definitely exists. But offhand, I'd say Stone Age is going to be a great intro to worker placement. Lords of Waterdeep is going to be a great intro to worker placement. I know solo worker placement. I mean, what's that game? It's, Maquis. I think Maquis. But cooperative worker placement is not springing to mind, although I'm sure it exists. It's just not springing to mind. What are you looking forward to the most at PAX? George, what am I looking forward to the most at PAX? I don't know if I have any PAX things I'm currently actively looking forward to yet. I mean, there are things. There'll be events. There'll be friends. Friends is obviously the biggest thing. You know, just the fact that I'm going to be able to see people who I know, hang out with them. That's always the biggest thing. But are there games I'm actively looking forward to? Like, I want to try Diatoms. I think it's going to be at PAX. I'd love to try that. I don't have any, like, PAX highlights. Evacuation, that would be fun. But I usually don't walk into conventions with specific highlights around... No, it's not true. I do walk in excited about some games. I can't say I'm that excited. I can't say I am. I think they've done a poor job showcasing what's at PAX. Usually BGG has like a whole list of the games available. I think they've had them in the past for PAX, but they don't have one this year. And I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if PAX just doesn't have a lot of new games or showcased or who knows what, but yeah, I'm looking forward to PAX. Make no mistake. What am I looking forward to the most about it? Hanging out with friends and having a good time. Petrified. Do you use anything to track your open or past campaigns? I assume you mean GameFound and Kickstarter and all that. And the short answer is I used to have an active Excel sheet that tracked every game I backed. It tracked the original purchase price, any add-ons, it tracked the shipping when I paid it, and it tracked what I sold or traded it for. That's one of the reasons when I first started this channel, I used to be able to say confidently that I am in the green on crowdfunding. I spent less than I actually turned around and sold things for on average. So on average, I was getting back more than I was putting into it. The problem is, when people say things like, hey, you have a family, a job, a GameFound, a crowdfunding, you play games, you play 2,000 games a year, like when people are confused as to how I can do certain things, there are other things along the way that get dropped. So I dropped miniature painting. I read less than I used to. I no longer track. I used to have, forget crowdfunding, I used to have an active budget where I tracked everything. You go back 4 years, I had a custom spreadsheet that I put together myself that tracked all my spending so I could be on top of every little thing. That's gone. That's out the window. Trade-offs have to be made. In general, the best analogy I ever heard for time management was, time management is like a plate of food. You have a full plate of food, and then when you try to scoop that extra helping of mashed potatoes onto your plate, you have a choice. Either you make room for the mashed potatoes on your plate. You sit there and say, I'm going to take off a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I made room for a scoop of mashed potatoes. If you don't make room for it and you just shove the mashed potatoes on your plate, then things are going to fall off anyway. You just won't be able to control what falls off. So you have to make room. It's just you either do so with intent and diligence, or you just see what gets pushed off the plate. And then they had another facet that is true and striking and harsh, which is, and they said, and more often than not, if you don't choose what to make room for, the things that fall off your plate are your social connections and your family connections. Because those things can lose a little bit of pressure over time without suffering as much. They just suffer over the long term. And that was a harsh reality to how you juggle priorities in life. Going back to the question though, yeah, I used to track things on Crowdfunding. I used to track all my purchases, but I don't track so as much. I don't. A lot of things that are not as essential to the multiple things I'm juggling and as important to me have gone by the wayside. Miniature painting, books, lots of forms of tracking that I used to do in my life, like budgeting, taxes, all those things. I paid my 2021 taxes halfway through 2023. There were fees and penalties in that. That was a mistake. That was a bad judgment call. Life is complicated. Anyways. What are you looking forward to most at PAX? We did that. Gary, in other words, people asking for a GameFound app, or like the people asking for sleeve cards to fit the insert. I don't know the stats on that, Gary, but that's a great line. I don't know the stats on that. But I will say, in general, it's always a minority of people asking for things. Board Game Buzz, what game are you looking forward to checking out at PAX? I wish so bad I could go. Board Game Buzz, one day you'll make it to a convention that we can actually hang out for more than like 20 minutes. But past that, yeah, same answer as I said before. Game-wise, Evacuation is a game I'm very excited about. I just don't know if it's a game I'm going to sit down at PAX and play. Diatoms might be the one that I'm more likely to engage in, because it's a shorter game, and Diatoms is a good example, by the way. That's a game that everything about the game makes me think I will like it, but visually it just doesn't pull me in, so I'm torn. I'm like, oh, this might be an incredible game, but it doesn't look good, so will I play it? Who knows? Nat, hello, good morning. Brian, Distill was leveled up this year, but I'm not sure if it's a personal copy or not. I believe it was a personal copy, but I'm not certain. I could check my library tab. I have it over there. If it's in the library, then I don't need to reach out. If it's not in the library, I'll reach out because it's a popular game. Board Game Buzz, coming to level up this year? She's not, unfortunately. I'm sure Jenna would love to see you, but is Baby going to prevent it? Baby is going to prevent it. Pariah, I know because we tried inviting her as a special guest, so I'm ahead of the curve on this one. Nat, what do you think is a good Bioshock board game would look like? Oh, definitely an Awakened Realms dungeon crawler. Just imagine Nemesis, just instead of aliens, you're like a giant mech, and then you're this person, you're dealing, so the aliens are basically giant, mechs, effectively. They're all the big daddies. Is that what they call? What they call big daddies? It's been so long. Little daddies. It's been so long. I feel ashamed that I don't know this. But whatever it is, so they're gonna have these hulking things walking around this Nemesis-like board. It's got to have an Awakened Realms aesthetic. You on your own are your own individual character who's leveling up through a very branching skill tree, because you can have your weapons that you get that are going to constantly get better, and you can have all these various injections that you can get that you can power up. They'll give you access to more powers. And then past that, there's the little girls, obviously, that you have to make choices around. So it's basically it's a dungeon crawler, effectively, just with you escalating and the big daddies escalating. Ideally, I don't know if I want I guess a campaign probably be better, because a longer campaign where you could level up, but there should be single shot rules. So each episode should be like, hey, if you're jumping in as a single shot, just give yourself like 4 ability points and like 2 draft 3 weapon cards. That would be great. So you can have single shot and or campaign mode for a Bioshock board game that has an Awakened Realms aesthetic and presentation, and dungeon crawler with maps and things. So like, yeah, that would work. That'd be great. Jose, I only use the Kickstarter app when like a GameFound app. I hear you. I respect that. You're also in the minority, unfortunately. Sir, hi Alex, how do you like the new Wasabi by KTBG? But as much as I like the old Wasabi by KTBG, which is to say that I played Wasabi way back in the day. I enjoy it. It is fun to build out your recipes. It is a lighter game than is my personal interest, so it's a game that I would happily play with family, but it's not a game that I would pull out for my own game group. It's a little too light for that. So I enjoy it, but it's not my personal collection kind of thing. Unemployed lawyer, when you ask a question and they have to leave. What's the question answered? I have no idea, George, but I'm not going to answer again. You can just scroll back later after the fact. Peter, what do you like about area control? I'm playing DI and BGA. Oh, no. Okay. What do you like about area control? I'm playing DI and BGA, based on your recommendation, and while I'm enjoying it, I often get sucked into tit-for-tat skirmishes in the genre. So the first thing is, there are 2 games that I love in person that I do not like on BGA. There's more than 2, but for the sake of this conversation, we're going to talk about 2. Blood Rage and DEI, I think, are fantastic games, and the BGA implementations don't work nearly as well for me. I find that I have a much harder time being as pulled into what's going on the board, and just it's really just nowhere near the same. Like, I played DEI once on BGA, and I was like, never again. It's just not happening. I don't need to. I'll play it in person. It's a much better experience. So that's first of all. Which is not great, by the way, because this is the inevitable problem with being a content creator in general. Just one of them, is now I'm going to have a whole bunch of people who play it on BGA, and they're like, wow, BoardGameCo loves this game? Jeez, man, it's barely good. I agree with you. The BGA implementation is barely good. It just doesn't have the same level of pulling you in. So I should probably say that on camera somewhere so people don't have to rely on a live stream and catching it. But either way, if you play DEI based on my recommendation and it's only on BGA, I apologize. That's not my fault. But past that, what I like about area control? Nothing, actually. I find area control to be a fairly dry genre that is not that... It doesn't really do that much for me. I don't actually like area control. And if you're confused by it now, that's reasonable. I like what area control enables. Area control, to me, is a great base. It's a great, I don't know, what are we making here? Bread, yogurt, flour? I have no clue what we're doing. It's a great base, okay? It's very dry and boring on its own, but it's a base coat, okay? It's a base coat, that's what it is. So with paint, 99% of paint is boring white. That's what it is. But you need it there, so you mix in a dash of color, and then suddenly you have all this whole smorgasbord of colors available to you. The analogy is going to be great today. But I find area control, that is pure area control, I find boring. I don't enjoy it or appreciate it nearly as much. I find it to be just, it's good. People like it, not for me. Area control, though, does work well at giving you things that you can loop into it that make it a fascinating experience. Because suddenly there's like powers and abilities you could have. You could have drafting, you could have worker placement area control. There's all these things you can do around the base area of area control that really lend itself to a fantastic scheme. And it's usually the powers and abilities around area control that push me forward. Cyclades. I love the bidding in Cyclades. The fact that you have an area control puzzle and you're bidding on how you are able to operate within that puzzle, brilliant. Kemet, Blood Rage, DEI, so many games have just a smorgasbord of powers and abilities for you to host, to utilize in this area control puzzle. Those are all phenomenal. Inish is a game of precise control. You're drafting cards, you're using abilities, it's precise control, but it's not about conflict, but the board gives you this way of presenting and discovery and control over different facets of the game. I find area control enables good games, but on its own, it's just okay for me. Where are we over here? Okay, I got to get a text from Devin. Where Board Game Select, board collect, not Board Game Select. What's up, people? Nothing much. Levon Ray, have you tried to design a board game yourself, or would be interested in trying to one day? So I've written rules for a few games. I don't like going through the actual process of playtesting it. That's so much work. I'd rather play someone else's good game. Stacy, the people at PAX, 100%. Paria, I need to pick up Evacuation. True. Jen can't play his board games. I can't wait to be out of school so I can go to PAX. You're not going to PAX? I'm sorry. Youth and Yang, co-op worker placement. I think Atlantis Rising would fit the bill. 100%. Adam, just trying to disrupt the stream. Adam, I'm going to block your number. You're going to abuse your privileges. What was that? What did I miss? Atlantis Rising would be cooperative worker placement. Corey, message retracted. Don't know what you said, but it's even more interesting now. Stacy, I only know there's a first look thread on BGG, but it's limited. Yeah, that's the thing. The first look thread has like 70 games, contrasted with like the 400 games that Origins has, and the 600, 800 games that Gen Con had, and the 1,000, 1,100 that Essen had, and like at the PAX thread, there's like a non-official BGG thread that has like 70 games, and half of them are placeholder images. It's not inspiring. If their goal is to attract people to the games that are being showcased, they're doing a terrible job, and someone should I should tell them. I'm going to reach out and tell them. Maybe it's too late now. We have, 2 weeks to go? The diminutive soldier. How do you start getting subscribers on your channel? I started videos just for fun. Other than posting videos on social medias, I don't know. I still have fun, but frustrating to see no growth. Diminutive soldier. How's it going? First of all, good luck on your YouTube journey. It is hard, it is gruesome, and it is the harshest thing I could say about YouTube. The harshest thing I could say is you could be in the top of your field in the YouTube content creator game, the top of your field, the absolute best of the best, and you're still probably just making it by. Which is a harsh statement to say about any job. Imagine if I told you, hey, by the way, you could be the best athlete, and maybe you'll pay your bills. You could be the best stockbroker, and you'll just be able to make it work. I think my channel is doing fairly well as far as the board game space, and I have to have another job on the side to make things work, which is just a kind of a conversation around what the upper threshold is of the board game space. Just factor that in. So, almost anyone, like Shut Up and Sit Down has like multiple channels outside of the board game space. They have other aspects there. It's very hard to reliably make a living in the board game space. Most people are supplementing different things. It's just, keep that in mind. Now, granted, you didn't say living. I'm just talking about the nature of growth. The nature of growth is just that it's a very, very hard area to grow in. For me, I started posting videos in 2019, December 2019. I grew to, I posted videos here and there. I had the upside that at the time I was running BoardGameCo, which is why I started a YouTube channel, the BoardGameCo, the retail operation. And so I sent out an email blast to I had a weekly email that went out, and even to my, giant, full list of email people, it's like 20,000 people on the email list, I basically said, hey, I'm starting a channel. And yay, I got 150 subscribers. So I got a 150 subscriber boost compared to what a normal person starting a channel has, because I was able to take advantage of this interaction connections. From there, it was just posting consistently. I posted consistently, day in, day out, day in, day out. Not daily, not back then. I posted maybe twice a week, I don't know. Twice a week on average, maybe 3 times a week. I just kept posting and got some degree of engagement. Then at one point, I got lucky in the sense that one video I did, which was called How to Keep a Lean Collection, which is a relative divisive topic, because I was like, here's how you don't have 1,000 games. And people were like, but you have 300 games. That's not a lean collection. What are you talking about? I'm like, comparatively speaking, it is, okay? I purge games. It's more about how I don't keep games that I don't love. I purge things consistently. And someone suggested that to BGG. Someone said, like, I like this video, and they sent it into BGG, and BGG posted it in, like, one of their updates, and that was my first video that got, like, 3,000 views, and, like, it blew up, and it blew my mind. I was like, 3,000 views on a video. My videos are getting, like, 50 to 100 views right now. And so the short answer is a lot of work, a lot of luck. Luck is a factor. Work, both of them are essential. You need work and you need luck. And realistic expectations. Back, even when I first started to grow, I said to myself that, hey, you know what? If I can make like $1,000 a year from this, I'd love that. This is my hobby. I'm passionate about it. I want to be here. If I can make $1,000 a year from it, I'd love that. And so, yes, it's true that, I have to juggle in other jobs to make ends meet. And it's true that a lot of things are true. But I'm so far ahead of what my expectations ever were. And to that end, I'm very grateful for where I am. Because I love board games, and I love being here. And I would do this for a lot less than what I'm getting out of it. So, understanding why you're here is going to be the biggest thing. Let's see. Board Game Buzz. I wish I was going. Babies due that week. Probably won't be the best idea. I'd prefer to deliver at a hospital instead of a convention. It would make for a story, Carly. It would make for a story. Dang, now I want mashed potatoes. Fair. Oh, wow, I'm behind on chat. This is the good point where I realize that. Petrified. I have an Excel sheet, too. I would add the cost. Yeah, I did the whole thing. Yeah, I love doing it. The reason I did it by, broken up by add-ons and, initial pledge and shipping was just that the information would come at different times. It wasn't about me trying to break down what add-ons cost what. It was just me saying this is when I had a payout because I used to track my finances. So I'd just be like, hey, new payment. Let's see what it is. That's the reason for it. Ali Glidden, Board Game Buzz, love your upbeat, friendly, and fun videos. Her videos are friendly, upbeat, and fun. Pariah, evacuation at Level Up. I am trying. I reached out to them to see if it could be one of our hot games, and we'll see what happens. So just for context, if you want to know some information about the Level Up Retreat. So first of all, Level Up Retreat convention is going to be in New Jersey, February 2nd to 4th. Please come. It'll be a fun time. Well, please come if you can afford to and you want to. It's all playing board games, but it'll be a fun time. In terms of our hot games room, the way we cultivate it, or the way I cultivate it, is I start by reaching out to publishers over select games that I think would be good for the hot games room, which means they have to be popular games. So I'm aiming for around 20 or so in the hot games room, which means I start by emailing around 40 publishers and say, hey, we'd love to have game X featured in the hot games room. So for example, I just reached out to Garfield Games. We're going to have Scholars of the South Tigris in the hot games room. Now, eventually, when I'm done with that whole process, either we'll have 20 games or not. If we don't, I'll go out and buy, with a level up budget or whatnot, we'll go out and buy specific hot games that we think we want to have at least 20. And also, arguably, if certain games are hot enough. So that's going to be a different conversation as well. But if we can get them from the publisher without having to pay for it, that saves us money on the whole process. So evacuation is on the list. If they don't say yes, then I don't know. Because I don't think it would be one that we'd pay for over other ones that I'd rather pay for first. Have you replenished all your Fs this morning, Alex? Yes, I have. That employs. I will ban you for the Fs. What did I miss? Fs in chat for Nat. It's you people. Steph. Hello, I've been sick for a long time, so perhaps I missed an announcement, but when will we make an appearance again? I really like the didn't back videos. So I've said this before. Unfortunately, that video series is mostly gone because, like, even now, I do my month in review series, and in my month in review, I cover, like, my 5 crowdfunding highlights. And for those highlights, more of them than not, I'm not backing. So it's just unfortunate. Like, so another video series or another top 10 of all time, that might happen at some point. But the what we back segment, that unfortunately is gone. Well, temporarily gone. Maybe permanently, I don't know. Nat, unemployed lawyer. Thank you, Ali Glidden. Any Inside Award on Monumental? No Inside Award, unfortunately. I believe you'll get them, but it's slow. Which 20 strong deck is your favorite so far? Ooh. I like the simplicity of Solar Sentinels. I enjoy the moving around of Halfamakis, and I don't know which one I'd pick first. Too Many Bones is my least favorite so far. I don't dislike it, but it is my least favorite from the decks. Pariah, any Canadian snacks you want for PAX? All dressed chips every day, all the time. I'm trying to think what else we have that's good. We have poutine, but it's not like you can bring that. Poutine and all dressed chips. Those are the Canadian highlights, honestly. Have you tried? Corey Christensen, message retracted. Corey, what is happening? At this point, you're just messing with me. And then you do it again, and this time you're all funny. You're all funny. You're very funny. Jose, have you tried Unmatched Co-op yet? No, that is a game, by the way, for the record. Speaking of what I just said, I reached out to them as well about, hey, can we get Unmatched Tales to Amaze for the Hot Games Room? And if we don't get that one, we may buy that one just in case, because I think that one has enough hype and buzz that I think I'd really like to have it, even if you have to pay for it. Jen Ken plays board games. PAX is right before exams. That sucks. I'm sorry about that. Nat, what are you drinking? Seltzer. Plain old seltzer from the Soda Stream. David de Guzman, are you still looking for Tapestry? I am still looking for Tapestry. I am. Corey, Brian, Board Game Buzz. Kim is in for a treat. Absurdity will ensue at Level Up. Hopefully she can give us news of healthy and happy mom and baby while we're there. Okay, cool. Jen Cam, have to run to a meeting. Hope you all have a great day. You too. Brian, okay, no, how many games, Levon Ray, how many games do you have in your private collection? So, it depends on how you define private collection. Right now, the way I define it personally, because I have so many games in rotation from being a content creator, I define my private collection as games I have played. Meaning an unplayed game, it used to be, back in the day, I think of my entire game room as my collection. Because of how I have things floating in and out from being a content creator, I consider my collection to be the games I've played and have chosen to keep. And to that end, I believe the current total is around 280 games, but it generally fluctuates around the 300 number. But it's around 280 games is my personal collection of games that I've chosen to hold on to, and even then, I could probably cut out 100 of them, and I'd be very sad, but I probably wouldn't notice. And when I say wouldn't notice, it's not that I wouldn't notice that they're gone. I'm not that ridiculous. I just mean that, let's say a game like Carnegie. Carnegie's a great game. Okay, it's a great game. I don't remember the last time I played it in person. I don't know when I'm playing it next because there's so many games on my list. And I just don't want to get rid of it because I like it so much. But like, if I got rid of it, it wouldn't affect my day-to-day until the next time I saw a copy somewhere, and I'd be like, oh, I want to get Carnegie back. Even Tapestry, which we were just talking about. I've had Tapestry. I got rid of it, and I started playing on Board Game Arena, and I'm like, I like it again. Let's get it back. Will I play it when I get it back? I don't know. I'm constantly juggling what I have time to play and what's new, what's old, because I'm always playing the new stuff. That's my job, and I love it. But I also play the old stuff, but I play the best of the old stuff, the best for me, obviously, as opposed to so many things. So I could probably cut down 100 games, and it would be the right move. I'm doing an end-of-year cull at some point, because I did one last year, so I want to do it again this year. And then the year cull is going to be focused very heavily on really trying to be critical. Like I've said, I'm getting rid of a minimum of 25 games for my end-of-year cull. We'll see what happens. How many games do you have private? Stacy, I missed chat because now the post office decides to call me back. Oh, sorry. Nat, a little demure spatter of 300 games. Stacy, by the way, I think one of the packages is something you sent me, Alex, back in October. No way. No way. Are you saying the missing game showed up? Is that the missing game? Stacy, like, I've sent you 2 games and one went missing. Are you referring to the second one or the first one? Nidamir, my link collection has a tendency to slowly expand. Yes, just like my waistline. Borgalek, can't wait for Level Up. Professor Meg, hello everyone. Finally off duty with a sleeping little one. Hello Meg, how's it going? Hieronymous Pseudonymous. There's almost no such thing as not being behind in chat. That's true. Brian T, Professor Meg, what would be the best convention for a first time in your opinion? I've never been but want to get to one someday. It depends on if your goal is to play board games or to see the booths and whatnot. I think Gen Con is overwhelming for a first convention. I wouldn't recommend it. I think it's incredible, and if you're only going to go to one, maybe Gen Con. But if it's your first one and you plan on going to others, not Gen Con. I would say probably PAX Unplugged or Origins for your first convention. I'm a little soured on Origins. I think Origins this year was not the best. I think they had a poor showing relative to prior years, so right now instinctively I'd say PAX Unplugged if you're looking for a booth-focused new games convention, even though PAX Unplugged is currently sour with me and how badly they're handling any form of hype or buzz around what's there, so I'm no longer sure about PAX Unplugged either. If you're looking for a playing games convention, I do think WSBG in Vegas has a very good vibe. It is not overwhelming. There's plenty of games. I think it's a very, very, very good vibe. But I also think Dice Tower West is a larger version of that is more overwhelming, but also larger. So if it depends what you're attracted to, smaller or larger. Obviously, selfishly, I'll also say Level Up, but honestly, it's like I kind of try to remove that from recommendations because I don't want to be too biased in that. Nat, hey Meg, Gary, I've registered for Level Up Retreat using the discount code you announced. Awesome, thank you. Brian, Alex, should we create a game we would like to see at Level Up discussion in our convention channel on Discord? What do you have? When do you have the list finalized? So there's no such thing as finalized. There's constantly in progress. But I will be adding the list to a more publicly available place at some point. Like a tabletop tools, whatever, has ways to add your library there. I'll be doing that at some point. I don't know exactly when. Eggland, can you show us your coaster? Looks like a Too Many Bones one. It is indeed a Too Many Bones one. That's what we got over there. Ali, hello Meg. I wish I had answer duties so fun. Spoil and sugar them up, followed by a speedy return. Unemployed lawyer. Jamie said there's a good poutine at Reading Terminal Market. Yeah, I saw Jamie said that. He also said it's not Canadian poutine. He said it's good, it's not Canadian. So both things are true. Nidamir, what we back changed to what we passed on. Everything. That's the thing. Everything. Corey Christensen, I had poutine for dinner last night and again for lunch. Poutine is amazing. It is off the top. Although recently I've been on a bit of a Beard Meets Food. I've been watching a lot of Beard Meets Food recently. I mean, I've known about his channel for a long time, but for whatever reason, I just started watching them now. And he like ate a 10-pound poutine bowl in like 15 minutes. I think I'm good on poutine for the next year. Geek, what do you think about the seas going so slow? Is it too much? Do you think it's the last Zombicide in the next few years? No, I think there's obviously going to be a degree of of just continued attrition as they pump out Zombicides more and more. Both Marvel Zombies and DC's were a little bit more ambitious. Marvel Zombies was quickly after Wild West, and then Undead or Alive, and then DC's is quickly after White Death. So they're coming a little faster than people are prepared for. At least in the case of Marvel Zombies, it was giving you superhero zombies, which we hadn't seen before. The problem is the Zombicide DC's is targeting the same audience, and there's just much more exhaustion, and people who spend $700 to get their one Zombicide ever, so it's going to go slowly almost inherently. I do think that, like White Death before, we will see that pickup. I saw people comparing it to the speed and pickup of Marvel Zombies, which I think is not fair. Compare the pacing of it on KickTrack. Compare the pacing to White Death, because I think that's going to be a more interesting comparison as far as how it's going to pick up and continue to do well as the campaign goes on. But are we seeing a $7 million campaign? Hell to the no. Are we potentially seeing a $3 to $4 million campaign? If things pick up, well, yes. It depends. Usually on crowdfunding, your first day funding is going to be around, 25 to 40% of your final funding. Usually. There's always exceptions and edge cases, but in the case of command campaigns recently, the ones that start off slow tend to pick up a little more. So my guess would be about $3.5 million, but we'll see how it goes. Pariah, press a meg, and a Canadian snack request for PAX. I got Alex's once. Successful. I still never have had a good poutine, but that is probably because Southwest Florida is so far from Canada. Yeah, Canada. Good poutine is to die for. That's all I'm saying. And can you tell me what the game above Cthulhu Left May Die is from the top right? Cthulhu Left May Die. Do I have Cthulhu Left May Die? I don't have Cthulhu Left May Die here, do I? Ankh. That's what it is. It's Ankh. Okay. Which 20 strong pack should I start with? Solar Sentinels. It's the most straightforward. Ryan, my favorite local bar is a unique take on poutine. It's tater tots with queso, sliced steak, and herbs. It's not traditional poutine, but so good. That's not poutine. Thank you very much. It's like non-alcoholic beer. It might be delicious. It's not beer. Successful Geek. Brian T. It sounds delicious. Ankh. Good job, George. Good job. Corey, y'all making me hungry. Corey, that's something's wrong with your computer. That didn't say message redacted. Sun 11. Have you been enjoying being a CMO? I think I saw you in operations before. Have you liked the switch, and what do you enjoy more, miss doing since transitioning? So, this is CMO of Gamefound. Before being CMO of Gamefound, I was COO of a company called 1-to-1 E-commerce. I was COO of that company for like 3 years. I grew slowly from, handling clients to operations manager to COO. And I would say that there's definite differences in terms of the jobs, in terms of what you're doing. A lot of it does come down to management and management of tools as well, and being on top of your technologies. But the biggest difference is operations was a big catch-all to doing everything, and CMO is much more focused on reaching out and talking to creators and bringing them on board. The thing I like the least about the transition from COO to CMO is I like tools. Tools are something that you can manipulate to your desired endpoint. I like being able to sit there, look at a system, and try to figure out how to make that system work for me. People are not as easy to get them to do exactly what you want, so it's a little harder in that sense. But I do miss the working with technology aspect of being COO. What I love about being CMO is the people I'm talking to are board game creators. Some of them I already know, and some of them are people I want to know. But I get to talk to people in the board game space even more than I already do as a content creator, and I like talking to people in the board game space. I like being able to hop on a call with, Lucky Duck, Chip Theory Games, and just being able to talk about what's coming up. I like being able to have conversations with creators about how campaigns are doing, what I expect some things to do. I just got on a great call yesterday, like with a larger company. There's gonna be a lot of companies coming to GameFound in 2024. I'm just saying, there's a lot of surprise announcements coming your way. I'm very optimistic about GameFound's future, but I got on a large call yesterday with a large creator where I just got to talk for like an hour just about the nature of crowdfunding, what we see, what we don't see. I got to set realistic expectations about here are the things you can expect to see do well. I also got to say, by the way, here are the things I won't promise you. Like, I am not a salesy personality. I refused. I took the job. When I took the job, I told GameFound directly, I said, I'm happy to take the job, but I'm not a party line person. If I think they're a right fit for the platform, I will say so. And if I don't, I won't. And you have to be okay with that, because I don't like being salesy. And I love being on calls with people. Like, my favorite thing, here's my favorite thing, I've probably said this on live before, but my favorite thing to do is to tell a creator, please use Kickstarter. I think your expectations are unrealistic. I think you'll be disappointed. And if you use GameFound right now, you're going to blame the platform. I love doing that. I do that like at least once a month to a creator where I tell them to use Kickstarter. I don't say we won't have you, but I just tell them I think your expectations, I don't say your expectations are unrealistic. I usually say your expectations are optimistic. They'll be like, oh, my campaign, I'm hoping it'll do 500,000. And I'll be like, I don't think it will. And so I'd rather use Kickstarter, because if it doesn't do, and I tell them this, I'll be like, if it doesn't do 500,000 on Kickstarter, you'll say to yourself, oh, I was wrong. But if it doesn't do 500,000 on GameFound, you're going to think it's GameFound's fault. And I don't want that. I'd rather you come to us when you're ready and when the expectations are aligned, because, and for the record, not to toot my own horn, but going back to the fact that I've been looking at crowdfunding campaigns, every single one for the past 4 years, I've yet to be wrong. I've been wrong about predictions, but when I've sent somebody away from GameFound, I've yet to be wrong so far that they've underperformed. How many RPGs get played to level up? Or does no leveling up actually happen to level up? If your birthday is on level up, then leveling up happens. Petrified, when did you last play Too Many Bones, and why was it so long ago? Great question. Maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and because it's not the easiest game to table, and I really should play it more, and I'm ashamed of myself. Ali Glidden, thanks, great convention advice. Interested more for experience of it than necessarily playing games. But if you're more for experience, I'd recommend PAX or Origins. I think playing game conventions are a lot of fun. Personally, I think starting with a more booth-focused one, exhibitor-focused one is better. That's not the BGG image for Ankh. You're not incorrect at all. That's the expansion box because of the way it fits into the shelf. It just works better because the full box is too thick, so I can't get all the boxes behind it. So it's the Gods of Egypt, the Pantheon expansion. That's what it is. Corey Christian, which game with food-based theme is the most appetizing? The most appetizing? I mean, honestly, speaking of wasabi was pretty appetizing, but the most appetizing food-based theme, I don't know. It might be wasabi, but I'm sure better. I'm sure there have been games that have better looking food that I'm just not thinking of. I just don't think of those games in those categories. Pariah, Adam Beard Meets Food is awesome. Been following him for years. He's great. He's a lot of fun. He's so polite. I just been throwing him in the background and binging them. Professor Meg, Pariah, I don't know. I'm gluten-free, so it's always annoying. Buddy Berglund, when we took Meg, ketchup chips. Ketchup chips. Dear Lord. Pariah, ketchup chips, okay? Miss Vicky's ketchup chips in particular, those are the ones she likes. Buddy Berglund, when we took our brief trip to Canada a couple months ago, one of our only requirements while we were there was to have good poutine. That's an excellent criteria for a trip. Unemployed Lawyer, it's one of the expansions. Yes, it is. Thanks. Pariah, Professor Mag, let's see what I can do for gluten-free snacks. Corey, have Beard Meets Food as a guest for one-time snacks at the board game episode. Call it Beard Meets Food meets Beard Meets Games. If you can get him to call me, we'll have that conversation, okay? I just sent an invite. I don't know if I'll ever get a reply, but I just sent an invite to Miniac to come to Level Up Retreat. Because, in fact, I didn't realize this, but he just did a video on his channel. I've been following Miniac on and off because I got into painting at one point, and I just got out of it because time management. But I've been following Miniac on and off here and there, and he just did a full video going over all the board game miniatures and comparing them, and he plays more board games than I thought. So I was like, okay, I'll invite you to Level Up Retreat. No idea if I'll get a reply because he's a much larger creator than I am. Successful Geek. Wow, DC is even slower than White Death. White Death is about the same as Undead or Alive. I have to take a look at that. DC isn't nowhere to the point in Marvel. That's true. DC movies also, I think, did more harm than good. That's unfortunately true. Devin Talks Tabletop. I come into an Alex live stream. People are talking about Beard Meets Food rather than board games. I feel like my work here is done. Can someone block Devin, please? Forbidden Regicide. Did you like Singularity.exe? I did not play it, so I can't answer that. Unemployed Lawyer. Devin Talks Tabletop. Beard Meets Food is such a good channel. Corey Christian. Devin Talks everything but tabletop. Faux show. Let's see. What's up, peeps? Jane Evers. Hi, Alex. Who do you play games? Who do you play the games that you review with? Wife, kids, friends, Meg? Do you ever have a hard time getting a review game to the table because of lack of people to play with? First of all, to everything you said, yes. But also, I would say the biggest people. So all those people are going to be big parts of the people who I play games with when I review them. And then another person, AP, who you've seen on the channel before. AP will play almost everything. He loves board games. He's always happy to play. So he's another one of the regulars who I rely on for those because there's two categories of playing games. There's playing games I love and I know are good and my group likes, and that's easy. My entire group plays those. And then there's playing games because I'm trying to constantly play new things. And those I'm mindful of how and who I push those on. So people I work with, like Meg and Devin, those are easy to, well, Devin less so now, but those are easy to try to push those on as much as possible. Family is an easy one to try to get those on, and then AP as well. Which usually is why, I don't know if you'll notice this or not, but if you pay attention to the things that get reviews on the channel, the things that usually require 4 people, 4 is the cutoff for me. It's not a cutoff, but anything I play solo, easy to cover. 2 players, very easy to cover. 3 players requires a drop of scheduling, but very easy to cover. Once I get to 4, it tends to be much harder to play them consistently. So games that play best with 4, usually I'll still have reviews for them, but they'll be much more infrequent because they take more time to get those multiple plays in or to play them at all. So the 4+ is where you'll see less content on the channel. Like I just got Among Cultists. I guess I'll bring it to Level Up Retreat. Ooh, that should be a hot game. That should be a hot game, Level Up Retreat. But Among Cultists, unless I get a plays in, like the minimum player count is 4, so it's harder to get those happening. So that's the kind of conversation. So I struggle at 4+, and I try to say no to games that are, or try to be clear about expectations that play best at 4+. So 1, 2, and 3 pretty easy. 4 much more selective. Petrified. What's the average day in the life? What's the average day in the life of YouTuber CMO? So I can't speak for the average. I can just speak for myself. For me, I generally get up and in the morning, almost immediately from 8 in the morning till 11, 12 or so is usually going to be GameFound time. The big part of that is they're based in Poland, which means the overlap on hours is until 11, and then still till 12 I'll get things done. From 12 onwards, from 12 to 4 is kind of wild card. It depends on the day. Sometimes I'm doing emails for GameFound as well because there's still more time going on in the US and I want to get those work hours in. Alternatively, I'll be focusing on live streams or whatever's going on in life. And then generally, once the kids come home around 4 o'clock or so, I'm usually on much less work. I'm still working in the background, but much less heavy-duty, unavailable work from around 4 till around 9. So that's 5 hours of me still being distracted by other stuff that needs to get done, but not as committed to whatever's going on. And then from 9 till 2 in the morning is basically straight up YouTube time. Occasionally GameFound time if I found that during the day I spent more time on YouTube and I need to catch up on something, so I might prep. Sometimes I try to do emails as I come in, but sometimes I'll just prep a bunch of emails and send them the next day so they're not going to be 2 in the morning. But 9 till 2 is usually my most productive hours, except in the nights that I have game night, which is usually Monday night. Monday night I'll usually have a game night with my friends and bring people in there and play games there. That's kind of rough numbers, I guess. Petrified, Devin Talks Tabletop, Pariah Message Retracted, Morganite. There are also over 1.6 people backing to C's at $1. Yeah, that's been a thing with Come On. Press Mag, Chocolate Azul. That, I don't know if that really did it for me as much. Hey, Devin Talks Tabletop, hey everyone. Ken, thanks. I'm pretty good at making games that shows that frustrate the players. Great job, Devin. Press Mag, Devin, keep doing the Lord's work. Pariah, Sweet and Spicy Miss Vicky's? No. Wait, no, what? Ketchup, Miss Vicky's. What's happening here? Did I misspeak? Ketchup. I don't know what's happening, but she's saying yes, please, so go with that. Devin, it's in February. There'll be no hot games at that time of the year. Devin, that's not even funny. Spaceship Lupo, do you think the Wonderlands War reprint will be delayed beyond the December date they suggested based on the track record? I assume every campaign will be delayed based on the track record of the individual company. So there are companies that do deliver more consistently on time. Steamforge has been doing a fantastic time this past year. There's been a bunch of campaigns that have, Steamforge just comes to mind, but there's been a bunch of companies that have delivered on time, and that's great. Go by companies' track records. If they're consistently delayed, assume they'll be consistently delayed. That's the unfortunate reality of things, and that sucks. Cecil Geek, I haven't watched Maniac in a while, so I'll definitely have to check out that board game video. Yeah, so my monthly review where I pick 5 videos to showcase or highlight. There are some that are board game adjacent this month that are Maniac. That Maniac video is one of them. I'm going to be talking about that one. I do disagree with him basically he's rating quality of board game miniatures. And I disagree with how harsh he is from the perception of a board gamer, meaning things that he's like, this is a garbage game, or the order he gives to some games, I don't personally agree with that, but I'm not doing it from a critical sense of, hey, I'm an expert in the field. I'm doing it from the layman's sense of, I like board games and these minis work for me or these minis don't. That said, regardless of whether I agree with the individual rankings, I do agree with the overall rankings, just some things not as much. But ultimately, I just thought it was a great video from someone who's tangentially, it's a different look at the hobby. I think it's fascinating. I think different looks are very interesting. Are they that much better than Harris ketchup chips? I mean, the Miss Vicky's ketchup chips, I think, are the best ketchup chips. Also, speaking of which, Pariah, when I say all dressed, just for the record, all dressed that are like Lay's, that flimsy, the flimsy chips that break, that's not the same. I'm referring to what's it called? Ruffles. Ruffles? I think it's Ruffles, right? Ruffles all dressed, or anything that's similar to that, but the textured all dressed. That's where it's at. Jay Nevers, thanks for answering. Most content creators review games around the same time, especially hot games. I noticed you reviewed Wayfarers about a year late. So that's incidental. So in general, let's take another step back, how things work. So Wayfarers was reviewed a year late because I happened to play it at WSBG. I just didn't happen to play it when it first came out. I didn't have a copy. I never had a review copy of it. I never backed it. So I never played Wayfarers. And then I played it at WSBG, and by playing it, I was like, this game is really great. And then I continued to play it a few more times, and once I got in a few plays, I reviewed it. But that's a game, by the way. Wayfarers, in my opinion, plays great at 2 and 3 players. I've played it at 4 as well. That was my WSBG play. But I've played it at 2 and 3 since then, and it does play great at those later player counts, so I don't mind at all. That just happens to be a game I played late, and if I like a game, I'm going to cover it. Let me take a step back. If I play a game late, I will still try to cover it, especially if there's a review copy. That wasn't even really a review copy. That was just incidental. So yeah, that's just a random story there. What's the game that you're most hoping to be delivered by end of year? Oh dear Lord, Primal. Please be Primal. Please, please, please be Primal. I'm exhausted with Primal by now. I have a running joke with Steamforge. 1 second. I have a running joke with Steamforge, I'll tell you in a second. So, Steamforge games, I reviewed Monster Hunter World and I reviewed Primal around the same time. I like Monster Hunter World. I love Primal. Steamforged Games, I believe, are generally very good folks in the sense that they've been very clear with me that they encourage me to give my honest opinion about everything. I mean, I always will, but they've been very clear. Some companies, I've reviewed games from some companies and then been cut off from them. Like, yes, I'm generally positive, but generally positive is just my. I mean, I'm gonna say it like I say it, but like I've had companies that cut me off. Let's put it that way. Steamforged Games has been very clear that they will work with me, and whatever I say, and they just want to encourage and be there in whatever way. And that they've also been clear that they appreciate feedback. So if I don't like something, they'd love to have a conversation with me about why, because they want to incorporate, like, the whys and the hows. But they've been very, very transparent with that. But one of the running jokes that I've had with them is I thought Monster Hunter World is good. It's a 4 to 5. I like it a lot. I still have it. It's a great game. I really have a lot of fun with it. I think Primal is amazing and is a 5 out of 5, and oh my gosh, I can't wait to play Primal. And that's obviously, even though they're very transparent, they were both compared when they came out. And so one thing that they keep ribbing me about every time they see me, they're like, oh, wow, I'm glad you enjoy Primal. How is it? How is it? They keep pointing out that Primal is very, 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 very late. It launched and ended before Monster Hunter World, and it's very, very, very late, and Monster Hunter World's already delivered, and they're already on the next campaign, and by now, they may well deliver Iceborne before Primal ever comes out. So yes, I love Primal. They also like to point out that Primal doesn't exist, so there's that. Hi, Alex. Are there any older games? No, wait. Move back a step. Okay, DL McCoy's, Devon Talks Table, for undressing the... Whoa. Board Collect. What game should I bring to level up? That is a large question. Shoot me an email, alex@boardgameco.com, and I'll see if I can put together stuff. Like, I can tell you, like, it also depends on what... Like, are you talking about for yourself? Are you talking about for level up, for the hot games room, or just to have available? All different conversations, but happy to engage. Briar, sweet and spicy ketchup Miss Vicky's is what it is. Okay, good to know. Petrified. Across all the games I've backed, the average is around 4 months late with only about 30% on time or early. That sounds about right. Devon Talks Tabletop. I prefer unjustified shifts. You would, Devon. Corey. Devon Talks Tabletop. Spicy take. Brian. Miniac rated the games based on the miniature quality, mainly reference to how easy it is to paint and bring out detail. That is his bread and butter. Brian, 100%. And I don't disagree with anything he said. It's more that when I'm looking at them on my end, I have a different way that some of those I'd rank higher than others, basically. But I don't disagree at all with he's an expert in his field. It's kind of like, no, I was going to give an analogy. I don't think it works. But yeah, he is an expert in that field, and I am not. That's what it comes down to. Nat, do you all have McCoy's crisp in the UK? No, unfortunately. Board Game Buzz, Devon Talks Tabletop. Don't encourage him, Carly. Don't encourage him. Petrified. Does Dice Tower's review of the most recent Unmatched make you interested in Unmatched again? Petrified. Yes and no. I was already interested in Unmatched Tales to Maze. Already. Because I didn't like Unmatched because it fell into the typical skirmish game thing that I don't like, where it's like, hey, close the distance and hit each other, and whoever hits each other harder and better wins. I don't like that, which is why my favorite skirmish games have had objectives around them. Things like Super Fantasy Brawl, where it's about killing each other to a small extent, and much more about the objectives. So I like that kind of skirmish game more, and Unmatched didn't work for me because of that. As soon as they said cooperative, I was like, that changes the conversation. I didn't have a problem with the system, I had a problem with the head-to-head skirmish game. Now, so my interest level already went up just from that facet alone. And then, yes, Dice Tower giving it 10, 10, 10, 9.5 bumped it up even further of like, whoa, okay, I was interested. What's that expression? What's that line? Like, you have my interest. Now you have my attention. Like, that's like definitely improved there. Joey, hi Alex, are there any older games you want to play but haven't been able to since it's out of print? No, Joey. In general, it's very rare. I get the question a lot, like, what's your grail game? What's that game that's hard to hunt down? I was in the very fortunate position of running BoardGameCo, the retail operation, for a very long time, and we dealt with used and older games, which meant over the years, any older game that was hard to get your hands on, that was out of print, that I wanted to, over time, I was able to get my hands on it. In fact, the only game I could think of that we never got our hands on that was out of print and expensive and all that, the only one I could think of is the Queen's Gambit. Never had a copy come through our warehouse. Also, I have no interest in it, so that happens to work out nicely. So generally, older out-of-print games, I've had my opportunity to get my hands on them, and I can't say I've discovered any since then that have really caught my attention. I'm trying to think, maybe there's something I'm just not thinking of. I'm trying to think what games there might be. But for the most part, I think I've been able to get my hands on it, which is, I'm lucky to have that position. Professor Meg, chip review stream when? Okay. Primal will come in 2 years, unfortunately. Yep, exactly. That's what I'm worried about. Message deleted by Devon Talks. View deleted message. Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. Potato Milkshake. Still waiting on the Primal shipping stuff. Just try to sell it off. I wanted a refund, but they couldn't do it. Yeah, unfortunately. Okay. Besides, what do you think? Who do you think gets more plays in? You or Tom Vassell? Ooh, I don't know. I've wondered. So The only person I know of in history, not history, don't history is the wrong term. The only person I know of currently who played more games than me was Steph from All the Meeples of the Rainbow. And this year, I'm finally for the first time ahead of her in logged plays. It is the first year; it has never happened before. I think she's down a little bit, and I've been up every single year since I started logging plays. I've played more than the year before. No time doesn't become more free, but my dedication to board games and lack of interest in human relationships, that definitely happens more. So I'm joking. It's a bad joke. You shouldn't make that joke. It's not a good joke. People will think all the kinds of things they already think. Anyways, point is that I play a lot of games. I'm on track to play well over 2,000 games this year. I don't know exact quantity is going to end up, but a lot of games. So as far as who plays more games, me or Tom, I don't know. I just don't know. He's definitely up there. There's no question. Anyone in the Dice Tower crew is a potential candidate for more games. But I also know Tom doesn't log his plays. So I don't know if we'll ever know. And if you have a 0 on the one hand, or a potential 0 on the other hand, and you have my number, we're going to go with my number. Just because it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't matter. Assassin's Creed Brother of Venice, Apocalypse, mainly because I'll finally get to play the base game. Kensai, do you manage to play Kickstarter games with all the expansions? I've yet to do so with Vindication. I can't imagine how much worse it would be with lots of games. It depends on the game. I find plug and play is more likely to get hit. So, for example, Marvel v. United, Cthulhu Death May Die, Zombicide Systems. Those are going to be games that all have plug and play expansions, and those I play almost everything. Versus when you have actual expansions, I don't get to the content nearly as much. So, even example, Tenaris Adventures. I'm going to Tenaris Adventures right now. All the individual heroes from all the expansions, those are plug and play. So, I've been utilizing all of those. The extra content, not only have I not gotten to it, I don't think I'll ever get to it. So it is case by case, and I've learned a bit more when I want expansions. So for example, Tainted Grail, Kings of Ruin, I mean, again, Awakened might send it to me, but I would not back anything more than the base game for a narrative-driven game like that anymore. I've gotten a little better. Versus plug and play, I'm still a sucker for. So that's the answer there. Biodelic, is there a game you truly hate? Truly hate? Wow. I mean, so there are some games that have been really bad that never came to pass, never came to being. I mean, there are games I covered and they were really abysmally bad, and I was like, no thank you, I don't want to be involved with this with a 10-foot pole. And they didn't fund. But like the 3 cases I can think of that happened, they didn't fund. What is the worst game? Even Blood in the Clock Tower, I'm a little bit more easy going on now. But Blood in the Clock Tower, I never hated Blood in the Clock Tower. I was okay with Blood in the Clock Tower, and I had a terrible experience, which is generally...
Someone is at the front door.
I'll be right back. Empty chair stream for about, like, I don't know, 15 seconds. I just need to see if they actually are dropping off a package or if they need a signature. I'll be right back. Just dropping off a package. Okay, where were we on the whole conversation? We're talking about Django Unchained. Truly hate. Yeah, Blood in the Clock Tower is about the situation, not about the game. What is the worst game I've played that I really... Oh. Devin may have already said it. A game that I truly hate strong, but a game that I have really tried to power through. Like, really tried. And finally given up on is Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. So, sorry about that. Petrified, what do you think is the most upper limit to the number of games you'll ever be able to play in a year? I worry that this year is the year that I peak. I worry about it, okay? I don't know, but I worry this is the year I peak. Like, every year until now, there's been incremental growth. And this year was a big jump. I'm worried next year. Like, my entire goal for next year, if you want to know what my goals are, my personal goals for next year, it's to make sure that I get at least one more play in than I did in 2023. So we'll see what happens. Devin Talks Tabletop. You have my curiosity, now you have my attention. That's what it is. Thank you, Devin. Figures you'd know something that's not a board game. You talking about being at attention is uncomfortable. Wow. Zai was one of my Grail games. I was able to pick it up in the video Kickstarter. Craig DePhillis, do you think the White Castle has legs? I'm looking to pick it up a 2-player dice placement game. I don't know. I enjoyed the puzzle of it, but for me, I felt that there were only 9 actions you take the entire game, and like 3 or 4 of those are literally just essential actions to build up your thing, which means it kind of comes down to, I don't know. I really appreciated the White Castle. I think there are people who are going to like it a lot more than me. In fact, it's going to be one of our hot games at Level Up Retreat, but I don't know I don't know if it has legs. I don't know. It's hard to say because I really appreciate how well designed it is, but also not for me. Let's see. I suppose you're related to a certain well-known film psychologist. Yes, I am indeed. She's my mother. Meryl White, what are your thoughts on Singularity.exe? I want to play it. I haven't done so yet. Unemployed lawyer. Alex needs less sleep each year. He plays more games every year. I currently get like 5 to 6 hours a night on average. It's not a lot. Everyone get the rave lights. My influence grows, Devin. My influence. Yeah, Devin. Yeah. Successful geek. Devin talks tabletop. You've truly influenced the influencer. Yeah. One of my proudest moments. I don't know if Carly's still here. Oh, she is. She is here. One of my proudest moments as a board game YouTuber was in Board Game Buzz's in a Board Game Buzz video. There were kids off camera. And so she went to go deal with the kids, and as she popped up, she hashtagged it, BoardGameCo, hashtag empty chair stream, referencing my kids constantly interrupting my videos, and Devin constantly abandoning his chair. I have never been so proud of my influence in the tabletop space. My heart was proud. Okay, you've truly influenced it. Okay, Potato Milkshake. Is there an explanation for that big blade casually lying on top of the calyx in the background? Yeah, that's the Chip Theory Games infamous sword. Not even my favorite sword, by the way. Where's my favorite sword? Empty chair stream again. Again, 1 second. So, we have 2 swords, effectively, on this stream over here. We have the Chip Theory sword, which they sent to a bunch of influencers for after they had Hop Marcus. This is very cool. It's very sharp. It can stab you someone. Not a real blade. Like, you don't have to worry about that. But, like, this end is sharp. Like, don't point people with that. And then we have this sword, which I got for my Purim costume, which is basically Jewish Halloween. And I like this sword a lot. This is the Witcher blade. This one is foam. So you could go like this as much as you want and stab it with the pointy end. And so this goes on my shelf and never gets touched because... I mean, is it rusting at all? I think it might be rusting. Holy hell. It's rusting. It has not held up to the years. All those fingertips on it have not been good. So, it looks more battle worn now. I mean, it's... Wow. I'm going to have to look into cleaning this thing. Anyways, this, though, I feel cool holding this sword. So, one is definitely cooler than the other. Like, objectively, one feels cooler, and I like it more. Okay. He's about to say Mansions of Madness. Oh, Devin. Oh, beautiful. Okay. Everyone got the Ray of Lights. He's about to say Mansions of Madness. Perfect. Empty Chair Stream. Is Cthulhu Death May Die and Zombicide too similar to justify getting both? In a lean collection, yes. And I'd recommend Cthulhu Death May Die over Zombicide. Kensei, I know there are deduction games galore now. Are there any induction games? Ooh. I don't know the difference enough to be able to answer that. What are your initial thoughts on the Old King's Crown? I'm interested. I haven't played it yet. Chair Stream returns to us. How many colored copies do you own? I have a 5x5, a 5x5, a 2x4, a 2x4, a 3x4, a 1x2, a 5x5, a 5x5, a 2x4, and a 4x4. Those are all the colored copies I own. So pause and rewatch what I just said, and you'll do the math and figure it out. And the quality improves while Alex is away. Successful? You are fun. What do you mean by induction? Zendo, Tobago. What's your current rankings of Zombicide iterations? Marvel Zombies and DCs are the highest. For me, they are the highest, specifically the hero mode. I like the hero mode so much more. Like, people are upset right now there's no zombie mode in DCs. I respect that. I personally don't care because I prefer the hero mode so much more than the zombie mode. Then after that is going to be, probably is Black Plague for the sheer variety that they have. Like, Black Plague has so much variety to the experience. Then Undead or Alive for the difficulty, but honestly, you can get that in a lot of Marvel Zombies. And that's kind of where it is, I think. But I'm probably getting rid of Undead or Alive at this point because I just don't need that much. I have White Death coming as well. There's a limit to how much I can afford to have. Do you have any opinion on the PAX Premier 2nd Edition? I played it. It wasn't as much for me. I thought it was very well designed, but it was such an intricate system that also relied on you reading so much card text to be on top of the game that the combination of forcing you to read that much to be competitive kind of made me choose between I can just play this game to the best of my ability and not read every single card that's in play, or I could read every single card in play and like I have a similar problem with Innovation. Innovation is a similar game where you have to either read everything or just kind of do your own thing. I had someone comment on my review, and I did this review. I've played Innovation like 40, 50 times, and someone commented being like, sure, that's only a reasonable complaint for the first like 50 or so plays. And I was like, then it's a reasonable complaint. Anyways, with Innovation though, it was I think the game is a little lighter, so it bothers me less. The fact that I might get caught unawares by a card, I don't mind. Pax Mirror feels too strategic that it feels like that lack of, that forcing a player to choose between reading everything or missing out feels harsher against the system. All right, I gotta go. Lunch break over. Love you all. That's okay, Devin. It's fine. We had the church stream. Now we have you leaving. Both improvements to the show. Potato Milkshake. Gotta use Top Box 1 for an unboxing someday. I'm a little... I need to figure out why this is like... The blade is rusting. Like, I think I've put fingers on the blade, and then that... I think people warned me about this. People are like, if you touch that blade, it's gonna cause issues later. I think it caused issues later. So, or maybe it's just the container. I don't know. I don't really pull it out a lot. Take better care of your sword. Absolutely. Peace and love from Israel. We'll be seeing you here soon. I haven't been to Israel since 2010, maybe? No, earlier. 2006? 2006. I haven't been to Israel since 2006. It's been a while. I'd love to go back. It's just expensive to get there, so I don't have any current plans. I'm so honored that I can make Alex happy. Carly, the second that video went up, I shared it to a Discord and Devin directly. I was very proud. Devin's now chair streaming. Bye, Devin. Meryl White, is he actually what? Devin is now chair streaming. I don't know if he is. What's the reasoning behind the various sizes of shelves? Oh, just how they fit. So 5x5 is my go-to preference. Some of it's around where they are in the room. So for example, these ones behind me here, I specifically wanted to have a top layer of stuff so you can see it for the video shot. So that was a little easier over here. Over here I have a 5x5 because it's my preference if I can do it. It's the largest. 5x5 because it's my preference. I can do it. 2 5x5s because the prep. Oh, I missed one. There's a 2x3 in the corner. Alright, so so to that end, the ones that are around over here that are slightly smaller are all because of various ceiling elements or things around them that make it not the right fit. And the problem is, here's part of the problem as well. So for example, I have two over here that are 2x4s, which I could have done a 4x4. I think it's just I happen to have them already. But the reason it's not a 5x5 here is because I don't have the space to do another 5x5. I could do a 5x4, but they don't make those. So if you want to go 5 high, you have to either put one on top or just go 5 wide. So that's part of the reason. Just logistical stuff. 5x5 is my preference. Depends how much Death May Die is considered lean collection. Fair. Petrified. Best guess is that's what fits the walls. Yes, George, you're correct. I wish they could do a reprint of Black Plague. Would love to get all the content and not pay so much. That is absolutely fair. There's so much out there. Gotta use proper protection. No, we're gonna move on. Just subscribe. Thank you, David. I appreciate you subscribing. Kensai, have you tried Planet Unknown in BGA? I think I'll finally get answers on edge case questions I've had for a while. I have played Planet Unknown in BGA. I'm in the middle of a game as we speak happens to be. But I've gotten like, I don't know, 4 or 5 games on BGA since it's been on there. I think that's a good example of I still prefer it in person, but the BGA implementation is good. Nat, no, don't laugh at Nat. Don't laugh. There's been a Sovereignty implementation for a while. I wish Sovereignty all the best. I don't like their system. I've tried it. I do not like their system. It doesn't work for me as far as it doesn't work for me as well. Anyways, with that, it looks like we have gotten to all the current questions, and we are at 1 hour and 10 minutes into the stream. So right about now, we're gonna go ahead and end this. If you have any last minute questions, I'll deal with them. So you got like, I don't know, 15 seconds, and then we're gonna go ahead and end off for the day. I'm just going to stare at you. David, good luck on your journey. It's going to be expensive. Just sit there awkwardly. That's my cigar. Is my refrigerator running? Yes, it is. Just a quick question. Any thoughts on... Mattis? No. But the way you phrased the question, Mattis... The way you phrased the question, I'm skeptical. For context, Mathis, I'll engage directly in this. The way you Petrified, thanks to the stream, I appreciate Petrified. So Mathis, the way you phrased the question, you phrased it as if you don't know about reasons to not collaborate, but then it's a random question that's very specific, which has me a bit suspicious of the question. Otherwise, I'd answer. I worry that the way it was phrased was a little bit less good faith. Creative List, thanks to the stream. How does iShot Web? I have no idea how that works. Is there a specific decision tree for choosing what gets to be in the background of videos? Yes, I've covered that. There's a full video of the games behind me. Check it out, the games behind me. The short version is that they're big box crowdfunding campaigns that behind any one box, I have more. So behind Undead or Alive, I have more Undead or Alive. That's usually the reasoning for it. How are you such an awesome... I'm going to go ahead and hang up now, Nat. You're a prince. I love you. Petrified. You're awesome. And I will see all of you next week on Wednesday. I may not see you next week on Wednesday. There may or may not be a live stream. So, yeah. That's that. Do you have a link to the video? There's a clip of you juggling ice. I don't. It was a live stream a long time ago. I don't remember which one. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. And I will see you at some point. Maybe next week. Maybe not. But at some point after that.